Hey guys, we're back. Sorry they took a little bit longer than expected. We're going to be getting into that finals lobby as we speak. Rifkin's spending all that money on soap and not dares. Yeah, he's got to earn it, dude. Soap cleans my hands. What does dares do? Plays
Maybe he could
Rogan.
also clean your hands.
Oh god, can you imagine how awkward that would be? Terribly, like, you need someone to like rub hand sanitizer. So like you got like a guy to do that for you. Or like wash your hands and they're like sudsing up your hands for you. Oh, that'd be so weird.
There are some things that are not worth spending money on.
I'm going to say that that is one of those. All right, well, folks, it's the grand finals of the Dares EU Open Cup. Spawning here in the top right, we got the blue Zerg player. Give it up for Nerchio.
In the bottom right is the red Protoss. It is liquid mana.
Poland hype!
Yay! Hey. So have we seen Honor Grounds yet today? I think we have not.
This might be the first time we're seeing Honor Grounds, which is interesting. But I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked you before. Who do you favor in the match?
Nerchio.
So that's where I'm really weirdly jaded on this, right? I think Nerchio is the better player. No offense, MaNa or MaNa fans. I really like MaNa. But I think Nerchio's the better player. That being said, he's had a lot of hang-ups with Protoss. So like a lot of really good Protoss players have walked over Nerchio. Like, we've seen Showtime take games off Nerchio and it looks silly, right? But he's also had some dumb games to players that I feel like are not as good as him. So I think 9 times out of 10 I would say Nerchio, but just because of the last couple of months of Nerchio, I'm gonna actually say I favor MaNa a little bit.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from. Can't disagree with it either, and it might just be the case. But it is something that I think like Nerchio could play a lot like Namshar showed us in the last series, especially if, you know, the 2 games that he went for the Overlord drops, because that's something that Nerchio has done, and I don't think he was the first one to do it, but he did it a couple of times in a tournament, and it was really awesome to see. And I think he could do it a bit like more cleaner and faster than Namshar. And that, I think, is the difference between like winning that series and not winning that series for Namshar, right? Like 5 lords don't die because you broke rocks on top of them. That's a big deal. You pair up the timing of the Overlord drop fake with the attack to the north. That's a big deal. Certainly Namshar did make mistakes. I'm thinking that it could actually look a lot like the first game that Namshar and MaNa played, where Namshar just bulked up to so many drones and so many Hydras and just like dropped, and that was it. So
that was
super
super cool though. Like I gotta say I really like that move.
It was, yeah. And Honor Grounds, I mean, this is, funnily enough, if this was a PvT and Nerchio is Terran, I was talking about how he has, like, you know, this opportunity to start dropping in MaNa's natural. You know, I think these positions, the player in the bottom right feels a little more on edge than the player in the top right. And usually that, you know, you don't have to talk about that because Zergs don't really drop a lot. And if they do, it's like 2 Overlords, not 7, but that's not actually the case. Nerchio could do exactly that.
Yeah, and by the way, I don't know if I'm saying this guy's name right or wrong. I know that I've seen him on Reddit a couple times. He's got a good head on his shoulders. Alatin has been clipping a bunch of stuff today, so I love when I see people do that, man. Keep it up. Keep up the good work.
Yeah. The clip features really is cool. A lot better than the highlight channels that the people still use, too. Like Oddshot or whatever. There's actually, I don't know if you saw this, because it got downloaded pretty heavily.
I remember it's like plays.tv or something too.
Yeah. It got downloaded pretty heavily, and I hope the guy, like, you know, has already shut down his YouTube too, but like, one after another, he made a Reddit thread with 2 different videos that were logo clips, and that's like what he put in the title, but they weren't actually clips. They were like on that site, and they were from the YouTube the guy made that also wasn't locos. Like, it was just a whole lot of him just stealing the content, and it was so stupid.
Disgusting.
Anyways. Yeah, Loco even responded in the thread about it. We got a lot of links coming in here, and they will be able to deny the space for like a little while, but the Adepts just come running. Protect that probe.
Shout out to I Prefer Nasty, by the way, 15 months. Says I favor Nerchio too. Thinks he's on Team Zombie Grub.
Team Nerchio.
Well, yeah, that too.
Ooh. Ooh, whatever you just did made the mic do that weird wobbly audio echo. Oh, there it is. There it is! Okay, I really hope we figure out what does that. So, the Adepts were perfectly placed. He wasn't too aggressive with them. He didn't risk losing them or being out of position, because if they were, that's like an instant cancel or even a kill in like a worst case scenario with the Ling timing that they had. But keeping them at home, easy peasy. Still not fixed. And the Oracles are really the only thing that can do damage right here. Now, MaNa is going to get up to Resident Glaives and +1, and he's still going to be eventually able to... Okay. Got it. Eventually be able to attack with the Adepts, obviously. But not risking just being kind of smacked down, to be honest. You know, and he did... Woo, that was my bad. He did play very, very conservative on that Cactus Valley game versus Namchar, and then at least poked and prodded on the Newkirk game, and ended up working out pretty well. This time he's not moving forward with the Adepts at all, but he got 2 Oracles, which is still kind of like scary. You know, if they are put up with the Adepts, it's scary. If they aren't, but they focus fire on something, that could be a lot of Lost Jones or Lost Queens. So scouting and a little bit of pressure while MaNa just macros up. He's going to get a second Robo pretty quickly here, and a Robotic Space, so very quickly into Disruptors. But you fixed it.
Alright, I'm back. And
Hi.
I'll take the camera too. There we go.
Good deal.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a problem I've seen a couple other streamers with XSplit more recently having. I wonder if it's XSplit. I keep saying I need to get rid of this fucking shitty program, but I keep going back to it for whatever stupid reason.
Takes a lot of effort to transfer over to OBS.
Okay, well, Oracles are in duplicate, but they're not getting a lot done. Just ends up revelating and walking away. Casting Revelation. Revealing.
I'm getting everyone to start calling it Revelating.
I know, I'm trying to fix myself. You've ruined it.
So they do something important, you know, besides maybe scare Nerchio a little bit. They also got to the Spire. So that is important. So MaNa is going to try and kind of maybe just threaten Nerchio so there aren't as many mutas popping out from that Spire. But these are just the Adepts. They do have Resident Glaives, but considering that he has double Immortal production, a bunch of upgrades on the way, and not Disruptors, but Colossus. Alright then. Point is, Adepts shouldn't be really committed very hard, but damn, I wonder. So Nerchio might still end up getting about 10 mutas, but if he doesn't, if he actually goes straight to Corruptors, then he must just realize that's how MaNa's been playing lately, but we definitely do not see Colossus a lot in this matchup.
No, it's safe to say they've fallen out, but let's see whether it's going to be good or not. Question mark. Like, there's a lot of roaches, so there's only going to be like 1 or 2 Colossus at most. There's not going to actually be that much to buffer for them. I feel like MaNa might die here.
Well, he was very careful with the Adepts.
I mean,
there's a lot of buff to
Colossus,
lose.
They don't actually have the range upgrade, right? Well, actually, he'll spawn with it.
Nice.
Never mind. But as we say, Corsair Gear could hit him really easily. Not going to matter, though. Force Field's going to have to be really, really good. He's got to keep everything off of that Colossus. It's most of the damage for him. But the Immortals, they'll punch through the roaches. Colossus clean up the rest if they can get there. But, oh, that Bane hit was so close. The Corsair Gear is going to finish off the probes.
Yeah, it kind of sucks because he also stopped them from retreating. So they are all going to die to the Lings, it looks like. But if MaNa could hold strong with a decent army, then it might be something recoverable. But yeah, and it looks like he's also going to lose that third.
MaNa's usually pretty good at playing in these tight-knit situations where he is just like on the back burner really hard. But I'm not feeling for him on this one because he just doesn't have anything to deal with the mutas too efficiently, combined with the fact that his ground army isn't good enough to meet Nerchio's ground army in a head-on, out in the open engagement. Like this moving forward, that's bold.
Yeah, not gonna work out. MaNa would really have to slap the army away and then even double expand to continue on in this game. Now Nerchio is kind of committed with this, so if he did lose the army, it would be pretty bad. He'd lose the queens. He didn't really go up the hydras. He's only just getting typical hooks right now. Spire didn't really add a lot. Only 5 mutas were made, and they are going to the natural right now. but I think it did its damage, so he can macro out of it and be in a very, very good position. Doesn't have upgrades either, by the way.
Just cannons here. This doesn't look to be too bad.
Yeah, in fact, just like 3 stalkers with +2 would help deal with this. And that is important to note. MaNa has +2 over absolutely no upgrades for Nerchio, but he needs the army. He needs a bigger army, basically, to protect those Colossus. Now that he has it, he has a couple more stalkers. Maybe it can happen even in this wide open engagement.
Gotta get the stasis traps.
That would have been cool. He's been target firing the Ravagers, actually, with the Oracles, so he has been using them more than just, aim moving.
That kiting was not bad. He managed to dodge out almost all of the Banelings up until that very end moment. Baneling's speed now finishing with all the Banelings being dead. That's gotta sting.
That is, that actually really does sting. And Nerchio is a loss for gas. He never took his gas at his 4th base. He just took the gold. And that could have been a lot more Roaches coming in here. He tries to go forward. Is getting top of the Colossus, but it's only Ravagers now.
Yeah, pick up drop micro is kind of cool, but he realized very quickly, Nerchio that was the warp prism that needed to be target fired, nothing else. But MaNa takes this and turns this around from being an army supply lead for Nerchio to now it's deficit. You pointed out those upgrades. That +2 is going to help out a ton. Joe's getting pulled into it, but the kiting out of MaNa, the fact that these Colossus, 27 kills on one, 16 and 28 on the others. Like, there is just no stopping this army. It's small, but it's incredibly powerful. Just like my small package.
Throwback. A lot of this fight not only had to do with the upgrades and just, you know, a fairly good army of Protoss, but also that Nerchio, having brought those queens earlier, meant that he had no larva to work with. Once again, a scenario where we found a Zerg player stuck with almost 1,000 minerals, dying, just feels absolutely terrible. He did start building queens, which I really like. On creep, they can try and target fire those Colossus, but off creep, obviously, they're a little bit less useful.
One of the Colossus is finally gonna go down. No, it doesn't! It lives! Right to the bitter end, and MaNa will take that first game here in the series. And so far, Rifkin's feeling pretty good about predictions. Or favorings, or whatever you want to call them. Anyways.
I mean, I was one that favored MaNa versus Namshar, but that's whatever.
Nobody cares. Get over it.
Fine.
It's my time to shine. Okay, we're going to a small commercial break, guys. When we get back, game number 2. Thank you for joining us for the finals of this tournament. Hey, everybody. We're in game number 2 here for the finals. Thanks for joining us. Spawning here in the top left. He's currently... Whoops, gotta swap those nameplates around. Currently down 1-0, but it is a best of 5. It's Nerchio fighting.
Poop. Poo.
Poop.
In the bottom right is the blue Protoss. It is liquid MaNa.
That's one thing I've always liked about Nerchio. He'll poo with me in a lobby. That sounds weird to say it like that.
You can do that in Austin? I will say though, not really TMI. I think everyone will kind of like agree with this experience. Like the nice hotels around the convention centers, like they're the best place to go to the bathroom. You know, like the shitty like restaurants you go around. Otherwise, I find it very convenient, man. I'm really appreciative that hotel lobbies don't. What's the word? Like guest lock their public bathrooms.
Yeah. Poorly informed in chat says BaseTradeTV. How do you like that mouse? I've been thinking about getting one. Well, I do a lot of MMOs and I play World of Warcraft quite a bit outside of casting, so this mouse has been great for that reason. But more to the point, I have kind of big hands, and the slider thing on the side actually adjusts. So like I had back in the day when I first got into casting, I had like a, was it the Naga? Whatever the really crappy Razer one was, but it had the buttons on the side. You couldn't adjust those, and it was always kind of uncomfortable. Like just barely. Like nothing, you're not tortured using it, right? But it was like uncomfortable. I really like that you can adjust the whole, like the whole pad forward and back. In fact, you know what? There's nothing going on right now. I'm gonna sell out for a sec.
Alrighty.
There's the webcam. This thing here on the side, you can totally just like push all those buttons up forward or pull them all back, depending on like what's most comfortable for you. So I mean, I used to use these for observer controls, and then I just got better at observer controls, so I don't need the hotkeys as much anymore. But yeah, if you play like MMOs and stuff, this is a great mouse. It's the Corsair Scimitar.
I like my mouse, which is the Qatar, because it is
Tiny.
got no extra features. It is tiny and it is basic, just like my Starbucks.
All their mice are named after swords, which is kind of a cool theme. I like that.
Oh, so I can feel like I'm wielding a sword. It feels so cool playing my video games.
No, Qatar's not exactly a super tiny sword, but yeah, I guess.
Qatar was my favorite sword back when I was like
God.
12 and I role played medieval characters. Didn't make any sense.
Set Qatars to kill.
Well, that would make a lot more sense.
Well,
a little bit more sense. Well, what happened in this game?
Not a lot to start, but that's actually kind of a good thing in a weird way. MaNa doesn't gear up for like a big all-in, but he does look like he's getting those resonating glaives pumped out, so we'll certainly see that Warp Prism come out. I think one of the key things to note, though, is the fact that it was not a Stargate opening. We didn't actually have Oracles come out, or Phoenix, or anything of that variety.
Yeah, which MaNa has been liking, like whether he goes into Resident... Well, I think most of his builds have been the Stargate into Resident Glaives. But I guess the differences were, like, was it a second Oracle? Was it a Phoenix? Was it a Void Ray? Slight differences there, but really just with the Twilight Council here, adding on a lot more gateways, really going to apply the pressure. He's going to set up the narrative, too, if Nerchio was watching the last series, which he could have been, that he isn't all-in-y with his Adepts. In fact, he's even conservative with his Adepts. So this really could play to that belief, but Nerchio is about to scout it with his Overlord drop. Well, yeah, MaNa doesn't really want to warp in here to try and take that down. I think he knows why they're over there, or is guessing maybe. Well, it's not an Overlord drop yet, so it doesn't matter, but doesn't want to try and take care of it is the point. So he's just committing fully to the Warp Prism.
He doesn't have a Mothership Core, which is concerning. There's no overcharge easy mode defense at home, so like was that Overlord to not just drop creep, but instead actually go into the base? That could have caused some very serious problems.
I thought for sure that's what was going to happen, but he never built an Evolution Chamber, so okay then. This is actually great for MaNa as he can focus entirely on this. It's a complete surprise. Nerchio does have a couple of units, as the third base was delayed, and he was probably like, okay, wait a second. But it can still do a lot of damage if it gets into the mineral lines in multiple locations, but having trouble doing so. Second Warp Prism is going to try and fix that mistake, fix that issue.
He's jumped on pretty quick.
Yeah, but Ling's still not quite good enough. They didn't have any upgrades. Sometimes we're so used to seeing the +1, but he's getting into mineral lines, but Nerchio's doing a decent enough job pulling the drones away, so we don't have 20 plus slaughtered, and if 20 did go down, that might have been enough, but MaNa is also not able to expand. Well, I guess we could, but...
Regardless of the not expanding, I mean, Nerchio's drone count is just... I'm gonna say insufferable almost. Like it's not that much different than MaNa's, but the difference here really being like I think your Zerg, your 3 bases, you want to be on like 60, not barely 40.
Oh. Yeah, well that's certainly true. Like this is not a great count for Nerchio, but because he didn't really like minimize the losses, and he knows there's still no third base, although again MaNa could take the other third base, he might not be too disappointed in it. You know, if the other 2 larva rounds can go entirely into drones, then that's gonna be, you know, a big difference very, very soon. But MaNa did lose that second Warp Prism, which, I mean, 1 Warp Prism is still annoying enough. Like, it's gonna keep the player on their toes. But 2 Warp Prisms, like, that stuff is really annoying. And now that one is injured. Well, MaNa's still, okay, there's the third base, where the Overlord is dropping creep. So it's going to be a while until he has that, but he's continuing on his other upgrades. He's got a Forge on the way. He did start building a couple of Immortals. He's actually going to be transferring into double Stargate, which I find interesting. Just because it was double Stargate after he already produced an Immortal and a Forge.
Actually, is this going to get scouted even?
Maybe
the
not.
Overseer's going to get taken
very
down.
Slow Overseer. It's going to see 1 Stargate.
1 might be enough for Nerchio to get turned off by this, though, because like 1 Stargate alone is enough to be like, well, if you didn't click it, though, it just looks like a gateway, so that's the problem too, right?
That is true. I would imagine he clicked it. There was quite a bit of time it was in his vision, but I think seeing 1 Stargate at this point in time it's a pretty common thing to go into double Stargate. Well, not the most common thing, but it is something you've seen before.
Yeah, it's not uncommon. I think it's a better way to phrase that. But either way, the mutas are not going to be too big of a problem. In fact, a third Stargate coming down.
Well, he did know about the Spire. So for him to commit a lot to Phoenixes and just you know, slap down whatever comes out of the Spire is not a bad idea, but he also knows that Nerchio knows that he went for a Stargate. So, you know, I guess just thinking that he'll throw down the 8 mutas that are made, then they'll be useful beyond that. They'll lift up roaches, hydras, whatever else comes out.
Oh, someone just sent me a spicy tweet. I can't wait to talk about this. Let's wait till we're out of game though. This is not worth distracting from the game for.
Gotcha. So that is a fairly good attack here. It has a warp prism, so it can warp in what is necessary, whether that's stalkers in case the mutas really did get them out of control, or you know, obviously more adepts. And the Phoenixes are being produced 3 Phoenix at a time, so the mutas really shouldn't be a problem.
Well, it's interesting. Sorry, I just went to the income graph while you were speaking, and like Nerchio finally got that drone count up, so he has taken control of the income for now, but man, MaNa was like leading so hard for so long, and the fact that this comes down to the fact that Nerchio is just not prepared for this, like, okay, the mutas may or may not be an issue, but there's actually enough Phoenix to Graviton beam most of the Ravagers.
I really wonder what was the plan for this game. Like,
what changed to make that break?
Well, did that too, but I meant more. I meant more just like why Nerchio went for the full committal on the roaches. But if he can actually just bully past the Phoenix pickups, then it could have worked. But there's 3 Immortals, a lot of Adepts, and it's not really going to work out here. So many legs.
Oh my God, the shadow stretch too.
Oh, I don't understand. It's so bad. Phoenix lift up.
It's like Ivan Ooze is like, oh my God, this one shoot.
It's the real Power Rangers movie.
I need to queue up like that Shooting Stars song, and like every time one of these stretches out, just start playing that in the background.
Okay, so trying to get back to the game. The Roach Blitz did cancel a 4th base, but there are so many Phoenixes, and while the mutas weren't really committed to, you know, I lose 8 mutas, they're gonna die anyways. He didn't really get too quickly to Hydras, and he's still trying to produce them, and that like is a big risk of just having him lifted up, right? So he did have to go back home, look for his queens, look for his spore crawlers. That ground army isn't too shabby either for MaNa.
The Phoenixes have done a great job this game, and they've gotten him pretty much everywhere he needed to be, but at this point, it's going to come down to the ground, I think, more than anything else. This Phoenix are going to lift up a couple of things, but they're out of juice. So it's about the Immortals, it's about the Stalkers. Most of that front line gets torn away, but the Immortals still standing. Only one of their barriers has been popped, and these guys are picking up the kills. 8, 7, and 8 so far.
The War Person did die, so any reinforcements are coming from that natural base. But it looks like MaNa's army might just be a little bit too good. The Phoenixes are going to regain energy and still be very useful.
Actually, on that note too, I was really convinced. Nerchio had so many Ravagers. I thought every time a Phoenix lifted something up, it would just be like a big target that can't move, that the Corrosive Biles would completely annihilate. But that didn't. That happened a couple of shots, right? But like it didn't actually do that for this game.
I do wonder, like, Nerchio, as he attacked the roaches, also slapped down infestors and hydras. I wonder if he had just played defensive, if that would have been enough buying of time. But yeah, there's that good fungal.
I gotta get the sound queued up for the next time one of these Ravagers dies.
Game's not over yet, but Nerchio is cut down to 3 bases and is losing a bit of drones here and there. We makes them instantly, but still 3 bases, not too great. Hive, I'm not really sure is going to be beneficial. I mean, it's not going to be used for upgrades. It's, you know, getting a Viper wouldn't be very useful.
Well, you know what? The funny thing is, a Viper actually wouldn't be too bad because of the Phoenix, funny enough. And there's, like, one parasitic bomb could actually do wonders.
It would only be 1, and that would only be an assumption that MaNa doesn't micro his Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't want to go like 4 or 5 Vipers here. This is not the situation where you're like abducting Colossus, right? But this Warp In's going to be scary. There's a lot of Templar coming in, and Archons alone are just going to be hard to deal with.
Yeah, it is true. Nerchio really has a very bare army here. That one Infestor makes it look okay, but Not good otherwise.
Well,
Charge about the finish as well.
Oh, there's no pathogen glands actually. These infestors popping don't even have fungals locked and loaded. He'll have to wait to take a fight, which could be troubling. MaNa's playing very cost efficient again too. I gotta point that out. That was something that was really well done before and emulated once more.
Yeah. Not too great. Phoenix is go in the back and pick up a couple of Ravagers. That Ravager's freaking.
The Archons are kind of getting stuck on the infested Terrans. That actually worked out pretty well. Yeah, these guys are. They're having a real party is what they're doing.
Yeah, I feel like they're usually not that fast. People freaking out. This is it. GG. Oh, MaNa. Cool.
We need more bugs like this on Abyssal Reef. Like, for real.
For reals. Gotcha.
All right. So that's yeah, it's a nice pickup for MaNa, for sure. Excuse me, big stretch there, as that's a 2-0 lead. Not bad for our Polish Protoss. We'll see if Nerchio can bring it back. But this is where I would normally do a commercial break. Instead, we're going to discuss some Reddit tactics. So I woke up this morning to a pretty annoying. Oh, hang on, let me reply to this guy. Send us. He's asking, how do I get a real life R2? Send us a DM on Twitch to BaseTradeTV. We'll send you a form to fill out. Anyways, I woke up this morning to a pretty shitty comment from somebody on Reddit. It was kind of out of the blue, it was out of nowhere. It had nothing to do with the Reddit topic at hand, right? I tweeted this. I was a little bit bummed. I got some support, which was cool. All this stuff. I'm not crying over spilled milk, guys. I got no problems with this, right? I'm already past it. Where he says, you are like 80% of the reason I left StarCraft 2. I mean, no hard feelings, but whenever you talk, well, first off, who the fuck? I mean, no hard feelings. Fuck off. Whenever I take %, your Kansas personality killed NA scene. I get that you tries to help it grow, but fuck. So I just say good riddance, right? Easy peasy, over and done with.
Yeah.
I hadn't checked this thread because I'm done with it. We're casting. I'm not looking at it. But someone sent me a DM on Twitter, which is really interesting because he replies again, I guess, to say, sorry, I hopped onto the StarCraft 2 Reddit again after a long hiatus and saw his post, and those feelings just came out. This is the part that interests me. He says, I met him in person, and he was just as much of a pompous asshole as his internet persona. Now, here's the thing. I don't remember the names of many people I've met in person, but I can remember the face of literally every person I've met. This guy, apparently, this is what this Detective Dick Butt status here, in his history, has this thing where he posted for the sign up of WC Assassin saying, holy shit, I'm surfing Reddit and I click on a link and it's my fucking face smiling like a fucking idiot. What the fuck? So I click on said link and there he is. Now, maybe, like, let's assume for a moment, I honest to God don't remember ever meeting this schmuck. But let's say I did. The thing is, I have never been pompous to anybody in real life. In fact, if anything, I'm like very, like, not what I am on Reddit. Like, the internet gives me the extra courage of anonymousness or anonymity. There's the fucking word. And I don't have to show my face, so I get a little bit more aggressive. But I can, like, anybody who's met me in real life, and Zombie Grub's there for like 99% of the time I meet anybody in real life, sure. I have never behaved in any way other than polite and caring and grateful to meet fans. So I don't know who the fuck this guy thinks he is. Other than just like the greatest troll.
Yeah, probably. Oh, yeah. So, being in a game could be the last game, but on that topic though, I feel like that's actually a very common thing. Well, not very common, but it happens. And it really makes me like think about all the times before I had this happen to me, where I would read a Reddit thread or Team Liquid thread and be like, yeah, I'm in control once and he was like super mean. And I'd be like, oh, maybe he's actually not like a cool guy like I thought he was. No. Maybe I should actually look at this. And it's so not true. Like, people just say shit like that, and they actually have no backing to whatsoever. Some guy swore he knew me, and that he had my Skype, and that I was constantly mean and abrasive, and like any bullshit whatsoever. So I asked him, like, I'm sorry, I don't remember. Who are you? Maybe I was just like busy that day, and he didn't want to say who he was because it's a fucking lie.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe that guy met me. And maybe it happened to be an off day. And if that's the case, then I actually, despite his shitty comments, sincerely apologize. But truthfully, like, hand to God, I have only ever been, like, bathed in amazement that we have fans. And when I get a chance to meet anybody, whether it's at an after party or at a live event, I'm glowing with positivity because I couldn't be happier to be where I am type thing. So I really don't know where this guy gets it from. So anyways, moving on. I just thought it was really interesting because I wouldn't have done the extra like legwork to find that out. That's for certain. Getting into game number 3. This could be it for the Dares Cup. In the top left, the red Zerg player Nerchio.
In the bottom right, as the blue Protoss, it is liquid MaNa. But one more thing before we entirely disregard is Nerchio is going for like a bit of a one base, you know, pull first. Is that I also I realize people don't think about it, so I don't want to be too harsh on them. But the people who can't just sit back and realize that maybe someone was having a bad day or that's just how they are and they don't intend to be mean blows my mind. Like I've never met someone who was like, "Hey, how are you? Sorry, I gotta go," and been like, "Well, that guy just ran off. Like he just flaked on me. What the hell?" But apparently people actually think that, and Anyways, rant over and done with. I'm actually, oh god, this goes back to the WCS Toronto post, but whatever.
Oh, don't even. I would love if
really
this was
from
that too, right? Like this is a guy from he met us at WCS Toronto or something. Whatever. Anyways, Probe gonna be holding the wall. Good luck, little buddy. Nerchio comes as quick as he can to kill this pylon. It's so important that MaNa chose to make another pylon, by the way, instead of a gateway to wall this off. If he made a gateway, there'd be no power to this gateway, and it's all over because no units come out whatsoever. Sure, he would have had a wall off, but it would have still been an eventual death. So yeah. I cannot stress how important it was that he just did a pylon probe block instead of just putting a gateway to fill up the wall. Because if he did, he would be dead.
Yeah. That was a nice defense. I mean, Paladino, you always had to be on edge about any type of early pool, whether a super early pool or what Nerchio did was just a pool first, but not really very early. There is still gas behind this, so Nerchio really, MaNa should not be attacking into it. I think he could actually be making a huge mistake here if Nerchio was continuing to commit with Lings. But actually, despite having speed, he still only has about 4 Lings. And this Adept, yeah, definitely cancel that one. But the other Adept, 2 of them combined, might have actually been able to do some damage. Nothing but drones. Very quick lair, though. Very interesting to see in a PvZ.
The overcharge should barely hold this. Yeah, Nerchio back away. You know, I'm really sad it hasn't worked in a while, but I'm actually thinking back on Nerchio's old playstyles. And, whether it was Terran or Zerg, you had maps what's that one that Avex maybe really? Detox. Where we would see him do double Ling drops, half here, half there, and that kind of got adapted early Legacy, but then fell out for a lot of Zerg players. I kind of miss that Nerchio.
Well, maybe it is time to go back. I mean, this game isn't really decided one way or the other. The fact that Nerchio didn't do more damage, though, is definitely a problem. MaNa is getting comfortably to the rest of his build. You know, even if his next is a little bit later, he still is getting to Dark Shrine, Warp Prism, a lot of harassment, and Nerchio is still going for a build that, while is safer, he's, able to protect 2 bases instead of 3, is clearly a very late 3rd base.
This is a weird position. I mean, I really like MaNa for this, but I'm looking at their army supplies, and it's just they're both waiting for it to explode, right?
Yeah.
It's like a mothership core and a sentry, and then 3 queens is most of Nerchio's army supply.
Yeah. It's so hard to play Paladino, especially as a Zerg player, I suppose. When you feel like they could attack at any moment, but 40 drones not too great. He does need to get roaches and even a couple of Lings to help deal with the War Prism harassment, which I think he didn't go back to that. I think if he attacked the gateway for a second, he would see the Robo. But he didn't, so he doesn't realize what MaNa's following up with. Now, there's probably not a Stargate, because that would have already hit, and okay, he did just see the Warp Prism, so... Now he knows. But what, is he going to be prepared for it? He doesn't have a Spore Crawler. He has an Overseer, but his units are kind of slow. So he takes a lot of damage. A lot of damage.
Ooh, I like that pickup control to guarantee... that could have traded out even better versus the roaches if that 1DT didn't get picked off, obviously. But still, really good to get the cancel. We've already seen Nerchio gets kind of a little bit off kilter when he doesn't have that 3rd on time. Not to mention if he gets denied for significantly long periods of time, but just ends up taking it down here instead.
Yeah. This is actually kind of making me remember the Optimus Nerchio series, where Nerchio also had preparations against a Cloaked Banshee, a couple of Queens, and an Overseer, but, you know, Banshee's pretty good, and the Overseer's a little bit, just a little bit late, and it still died. So, now double Archons are going to go to that third base. They're not so great at killing bases as 4DTs are, but if there's a drone transfer, or the Roaches try and cover it, that, you know, that'll be great.
Actually, I kind of forgot to pay attention to the player list. I know MaNa has been talking about going to Austin. Is Nerchio going to Austin too?
I don't know.
I would hope so. Nerchio's like one of the best Zerg players. Like if he doesn't go, I'm gonna be very sad actually.
I only keep in mind who isn't going.
I know it's a lot easier because there's actually so many people going.
Yeah. Well, MaNa getting some production, and of course on his way to charge, but is still being denied a third base, which he would have loved to already been building. That Overlord rather, is still in the way. Now with a lot of units, though, like this is a crazy amount of units to use from the War Prism. It still looks too like it's just harassment, and you're just like successfully denying MaNa's third base. But I think Nerchio, like in like 10 seconds, is going to be like, oh, okay, that third base might actually intentionally not be going down, because he is going to be going for a charge that all in.
Yeah.
And now maybe Nerchio has not realized that quite yet, because he did just make a round of a couple drones. Kind of necessary though. Like even if there is an attack on the way, he did not have a very good drone count. So now he's trying to go back into all but all Hydras. I'm worried like 2 force fields and those Hydras would just go down to the Archons and the charge lots. Okay, uses them to split as opposed to, go up against the Zealots. Okay.
I'm kind of interested in the split though, right? Like this actually boxes them in and makes the splash damage more optimal. I was gonna say like he could have just walked away from that, but charge lots, splash damage, and of course he won the bottom fight too. So this is getting a little bit out of hand for poor Nerchio, who is now pulling the drones into this. 10 Roaches. That. Like most of our Nerchio's army supply is on deck, you know what I mean? 2 Warp Prisms also makes this impossible to clean up, and MaNa will take a 3-0 sweep, knocking Nerchio down and winning the finals.
Well done.
That's kind of crazy. Yeah, first off, well done, of course, but that's crazy to me because we had such like ace match into ace match semifinals into the most like one-sided finals, but I'm telling you, I don't know what it is. This is like it's almost like oh my god, I know what it is. You remember how you thermal for the longest time couldn't beat Zerg no matter what, but then when he finally beat Zerg, it was a big one like Nerchio?
Sure, yeah.
He passed that on to Nerchio, and now Nerchio's stuck with Protoss. He's the euthermal, and the Protoss are his Zerg.
Oh my god.
No, that was actually a really well played series out of MaNa. I don't want to actually degrade that, but it's so surprising because Nerchio is such a fantastic player, and we had him versus Showtime in one of the Corsair Cup monthlies not too long ago, and that even went like 3-2. So 3-0ing Nerchio is a big accomplishment for MaNa. There's no doubt about it, and I got to give him a big one last round of applause. Like congratulations. Yeah,
very impressive.
But that's going to wrap up the stream for today. So guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. We had some awesome donations from, again, Phoenix636. If you're still tuning in, thank you for being the boss of the day. Big B Shredder 08 as well. Thank you kindly. Both of those are appreciated. Of course, going towards good StarCraft fundraising. That being said, I guess that's that. We don't really have a lot to advertise because this is the Dares Cup. I can't just justify throwing money at Dares, but we want to pay him to admin and we do things right. So thank you guys for supporting Dares' food budget, I guess.
Yay, food.
Yay. Also, thank you, Milmage, for the 37-month resub, Zulu for 21. I think that's everybody. If we missed anyone today, please know it wasn't on purpose. We love your faces and appreciate all the support we get, no matter how big or small. I'm also really excited for the tiered subsystem. I know a lot of people are like, they got the good and the bad to say about it, but I actually think it's going to be great. Hey, Apollo. Sorry, I'm more interested in the other cat. You're boring now. You're old. I don't mean it. I don't mean it, Apollo. You're adorable. But okay, I guess if you like any of the Corsair stuff, check out the links down below in the stream. The affiliate links will help us out a ton. We get a percentage of your purchase. Same goes with the Amazon links for Zombie Grub. If you want to support us through Twitch side of our sponsorship, just consider subscribing. Goes a long way. Bits, subs, anything to do with Twitch. Keep it up. Oh no, I knocked Squirtle over.
No.
But anyways, actually, this is my favorite Squirtle. This was given to me by another streamer, Dear Nadia, at TwitchCon last year. But anyways, I guess that kind of wraps things up. So Zombie any shout outs to you before we take off?
Follow me on Twitter at ZG Gaming, Twitch, Zombie Grub, YouTube, Zombie Grub. Thanks for watching.
Cool. Yeah, and just I guess last but not least, our own YouTube for Base Trade, youtube.com/BaseTradeTV. As mentioned before, Zombie Grub and I, we did some 3v3s last night. I would recommend checking them out. They're kind of fun, kind of stupid. Did you see someone actually wrote down my build order for this, by the way? This.
No.
Again, I'm going to actually read this comment out. This is great. So the guy actually, Piney's Vids, writes out the full build order. And, like, the build order is, like, great because there's just question marks in it. He's like, 14 depot, 16 racks, 18 racks, 18 racks, 18 orbital, question mark? And it even includes, like, 38 factory, 39 depot, lose your army, 34 marine, 37 Stargate. Like, oh, he put Stargate instead of Starport. But then at the bottom, he's like, he puts the timestamp where I said to anybody watching the VOD, don't copy this build. I don't know what I'm doing. And he's like, damn it. Those are fun games, though. Hopefully we'll do more of those. I don't know. Like, I like co-op. I like team games. I like StarCraft 2 for all the reasons that we don't actually cast it for. Funny enough. But anyways, tonight, however you want to look at it, will be the Alima League, and it'll be our last cast before we go to DreamHack Austin. So, if you guys are there, come say hi, learn how big of a pompous asshole I can be in person.
Yeah.
Or make your own decision based on my personality.
I'm cold and unfun. Fun sucker.
You are cold, like, all the time, and I don't get it.
That's true. I am. I cannot wait until it's really summer. Cold right now.
Vroom, vroom,
Damn.
vroom, vroom. We're taking off, guys. Take care, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Roll out.
I was drawing. My mouse was the car, okay?